The Top Thrill Dragster situation has been very intriguing to say the least, and that intrigue only seems to grow as time goes on and more rumors arise. The diversity and ideas of different rumors have been astonishing, and I think it's fair to say that no one truly knows what is going to happen with Top Thrill Dragster, at least down to those minute details. It's been a long time since I've covered any dragster news, and with the rumor mill starting to spin again after Cedar Point teased the ride's return in 2024, I thought this might be a good idea to throw some predictions out there before we really start to get a feel on what is happening. Today I'll be dishing out some of my best guesses to some of the key questions about Top Thrill Dragster, such as what will the new name and theme be, how will the queue look, will there be a new color scheme, which manufacturer will be tasked with working on the ride, what will happen with the layout, and most importantly, what will be done with the launch. Before we get into some of my answers to these questions, I greatly appreciate it if you could hit that like button, as doing so would help me out against the YouTube algorithm greatly. Also, if you'd like to see more speculation and Cedar Point videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button in order to assure you don't miss any future content. That said, let's go over what has occurred in the past 2 years that has got us to this point. In August of 2021, a flag plate flew off of one of Top Thrill Dragster's trains and struck a guest waiting in line for the roller coaster in the head, which caused a severe head injury, and she was immediately taken to the hospital. I'm unaware of the current status of the victim, but I certainly wish her well and hope she can make a recovery. Cedar Point kept the coaster closed for the remainder of the 2021 season as an investigation took place, and they would later announce that the ride would be closed for the 2022 season as well. Following a long bout of silence from the park, Cedar Point announced on September 6, 2022 that Top Thrill Dragster would, as you know it, be retired. However, Cedar Point also stated that they were hard at work creating a new and reimagined ride experience, and that they'll share more details and information at a later date. After this announcement, the park removed all track from the launch, transfer and storage tracks, load and unload stations, and brake run, leaving the only track remaining on the coaster being the 420-foot tall top hat. The track was delicately packed up and shipped to Port of Genoa in Italy. The general indication was that the accident itself wasn't directly the reason for the closure of the coaster, as it was more of a breaking point for a consistently troubled ride that was well known for technical difficulties and downtime. However, with Dragster being the first ever full circuit strata coaster and remaining as the second tallest roller coaster in the world, removing it would be no easy feat. Not to mention that this coaster is still a fan favorite and was one of the most popular rides in the park at the time of its closing, so reimagining it was the best move for the park. Most recently, Cedar Point released a short teaser video featuring many shots of the top hat, ending with the tagline, "A new formula for thrills," and a statement that it is coming in 2024. We've also seen shots of the entire infield of the coaster being torn up, with the exception of the overhang of the station from what we last saw. Now let's get into those questions. This is kind of an obvious question. I just wanted to cover what I think will happen leading up to the announcement and opening. I think the park is going to continue to heavily tease this project throughout the 2023 season, and there's going to be no hiding that something is going on this year. I believe that all the details will be announced in mid-August, when the usual Cedar Fair announcements are, and we'll get all the goods like the new name, manufacturer, whatever's going on with the launch, etc, etc. Then the ride will be ready for opening day 2024. I think there definitely will be a new name for Dragster, even if the name is something as simple as New Top Thrill Dragster. As stupid as that might sound, I don't see Cedar Point opening Dragster under the same name after all of that negative press that it received over the past few years. However, I do think it'll retain the racing theme regardless of what the new name is, because trying to rebrand it as a whole new ride, not acknowledging the past popularity of the ride under the racing theme, would be kind of dumb in my opinion. I've heard rumors that the area around the ride from Corkscrew to Magnum could be getting a space theme, and that would sort of fit in with Magnum's futuristic style theme, although I do think it would make sense that the area would get a new theme, especially considering that's what Cedar Fair tends to do with new additions now, but I don't think it'll be a space theme. The formula for Thrill's line indicates more of a subtle change, maybe a Formula 1 theme, or just a modern racing theme. If I had to guess a new name, I'd probably just say Formula or New Dragster if they opt for a more generic theme. Now onto the queue. One of the park's top priorities is going to be moving riders away from any potential danger where the accident happened, even if it is impossible to happen again. I personally see two options, the first of which is that the park builds a new themed queue building where the queue was before. This obviously protects riders from anything falling from the ride and gives the added luxury of not standing in the hot sun in the duration of the wait. The problem with this is that the space within the infield of the ride is quite limited and may not leave a lot of space for any maintenance areas or any layout changes at all. A new rumor that arose from Alto Orion suggests that the new entrance may be where the exit of the ride used to be, keeping riders well away from the ride itself. This would involve the queue snaking back around Iron Dragon's ride area, and would also mean that the station for Top Thrill Dragster would now require riders to exit inside of the station and not in a separate area like before. I also wouldn't be surprised if they used a queue building at some point in this option as well to provide shade for guests waiting in line. At this point, I think the second option seems a bit more likely given that nearly everything has been torn up in the infield of the ride, likely indicating that there will be major operational changes coming to the ride. Something else I'm convinced will be changing is the color scheme. This ride is huge, and a color scheme change would grab the attention of the general public. There's been gray test paint spotted on one of the ride's supports, so there's a good chance that the supports will be painted gray. I believe that the track will also get repainted. If they go with a formula or racing theme, I think red would be a great look for this ride, kind of like the reverse of Red Force at Ferrari Land. If they opt for a space theme, I'd say purple or green would be my top choices, but I'm personally rooting for the racing theme to remain with the ride. It's really hard to guess a color scheme until we know the theme for sure, so this will obviously depend on what the new name and theme of the coaster is. Now for another biggie. There have been a few theories thrown around about the manufacturer who will perform the refurbishments on the ride, and a controversial one is Intamin. Intamin is an obvious candidate because they are the original manufacturer of the ride, but there's a slew of reasons that indicate Intamin will not be the manufacturer refurbishing Top Thrill Dragster. For one, it's nearly been a decade since Cedar Fair has worked with Intamin following numerous issues with some of the roller coasters, and most notably a log flume style ride called Shoot the Rapids at Cedar Point, which was the straw that broke the camel's back. Intamin has also removed the coaster from their website, indicating that they don't want the ride representing their work anymore or claiming liability for it. And there's also rumors that a Top Thrill Dragster train got shipped off to Knott's Berry Farm to be used for Accelerator. I am unaware of the legitimacy of this rumor, but that's another thing to take in consideration. Given what we know, it is very likely that Intamin will not be involved in the refurbishment. The top candidate right now is actually Zamperla. For one, the shipment of Dragster's track went to Italy, making Zamperla the most likely manufacturer to be receiving Dragster's track, as it would be the closest logical manufacturer to the port that it arrived at, which is the port of Genoa. Even though Intamin's headquarters aren't that far away either. What sold it for me, it was that Zamperla just recently announced that they will be working with P&E Playland for a new launch coaster. Although Zamperla is advertising it as their own ride, this is actually a coaster that was originally manufactured by Intamin as Senza Feto at Miragica in Italy. When that park closed, Zamperla bought the coaster and retrofitted it with a new LSM launch, and they will be giving the ride their new Lightning trains. That roller coaster was also a former Intamin coaster with a hydraulic launch, just like Top Thrill Dragster. Zamperla also confirmed that their Lightning trains and LSM launch can reach speeds up to 200 kilometers per hour, which would be roughly 125 miles per hour, clearing the 100 smart 20-mile-per-hour bar that Dragster hits. Zamperella's roller coaster sales and marketing director also teased that we will soon see the Lightning train on some of the world's fastest coasters.
In addition, the Lightning vehicle has different road wheels than we've ever used before. They're made to be low maintenance, withstand high accelerations, and will soon be seen on some of the world's fastest attractions.
I think given all the signs pointing towards Zamperella being the manufacturer that will refurbish Top Thrill Dragster, I have to say Zamperella is who I think will refurbish Top Thrill Dragster. I think there is almost a guarantee that the ride will change somewhere in this department. We're 99% sure that the launch is going to be converted to an LSM launch given how problematic the coaster has been in the past. An LSM launch in the current space should just be enough to propel the coaster up and over the top hat. I've heard that the launch fins may need to be placed at the bottom of the top hat, or the launch might need to start straight out of the station. But regardless, it should be able to work. In terms of the layout, since we're going with Zamperella as the manufacturer to do this conversion, I don't think anything major has changed. All the track that was removed was carefully preserved as if it was going to be used again. I really only think that the most we'd see is maybe an airtime hill added to possibly elongate the brake run. I don't like the odds of a spike, swing launch, or anything drastic being changed to the layout. Maybe they could launch you up the other side, but I don't know, I just don't really see it. But I don't think that's impossible either. This may seem disappointing, but I think the main goal of this conversion is to fix the reliability issues with Dragster and to elevate the surrounding area of the park with some potential new improvements and maybe even some new flat rides and theming. I think if Dragster can avoid downtime, we'll see an improvement to the lines in the park because more people will get through Dragster regardless of a capacity drop, which is only hypothetical at this point. Dragster is also a massive icon for the park and it doesn't feel right without it operating. I'd like to see some new flat rides in the area around it, hopefully coupled with some big improvements in the infrastructure and appearance as well. Maybe we'll see some new restaurants, a shop, and maybe even a setup for future expansion if they eventually decide to remove Gemini. This coaster takes up a huge plot of land and would perfectly set up the park for a new major coaster while still keeping families in mind with the potential for some new flat rides. I think Cedar Point really has a cool package of additions in place for 2024 with Dragster and the surrounding area, so this is something to watch and stay excited about through the summer. With a big coaster slated to come to Dorney Park in 2024, Cedar Fair's campaign for this season may be one of the best we've seen since the 2010s, and I can't wait for them to announce everything, hopefully within the next 6 months. I'm very excited for Dragster to reopen, and I'd like to hear if you agree with my predictions down in the comments below. There's been a wide range of rumors, so I'm eager to hear what you all think. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more awesome coaster content coming soon. With all that being said, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.